Good morning, children, and welcome back in your English class. As usual, I am saying like that, and I hope that you are all feeling very happy, very healthy at home, and also I hope that you all are watching video, you are studying at home, and also along with these hopes, I also hope that you are feeling very happy to see your teachers in your videos. So I hope so that you all are feeling very enthusiastic and very excited to see your teachers teaching you in the videos. So it's a very happy. Let's continue this happy moment with you all, and with the next lecture of English session. So let's continue this moment of togetherness, this moment of happiness, this moment of joy with each other. So I hope so that you will find happiness with me also in video. So children, let's start. As you know that we have completed the Voice of the Rain poem written by Walt Whitman. In previous lecture we have completed, and we have completed all the sections of that poem, that is the summary of the poem. We have also completed the explanation of the paragraphs. We have also discussed about the theme and message of that poem. So we have completed all the sections of the poem Voice of the Rain written by Walt Whitman. In previous lecture we have finished. So in today's lecture we are going to and before starting the further topic, I want to tell you that I will send the PDF of reference to context and central idea and question answer of that poem Voice of the Rain written by Walt Whitman along with this video. So I will send the PDF, and please, I request you that please download the PDF and write down all the questions and answer in your fair copy, and please watch the video, and please write down all the notes, whatever I am giving you, whatever you are given to write in your copy. So in today's lecture we are going to start our new poem, that is the Childhood, composed by Markus Natten. And first I will tell some brief life sketch, some short sketch of the poet, that is a Markus Natten, and then afterward we will discuss about the summary, and then after the summary we will explain the paragraphs one by one. So children, let's start the poem, that is the Childhood, composed by Markus Natten. So children, the poem is about Childhood is composed by Markus Natten, and he was a Norwegian poet, and he was born on 23rd June 1978, and his life, you can say that the detail of his life was sketchy, unclear, because it is unclear that when and where he was born, but he was born on 23rd June 1978, but where he was born it was unclear. And but he was known for his famous novel, that is The Thief and the Messenger, and the US title that I Am the Messenger. He has written that novel, and he became famous for that for that novel, that is the Thief and the Messenger. And he composed this poem Childhood. He wrote this poem Childhood in a very lovely, in a very beautiful words, with a very beautiful description of childhood, with a very beautiful theme, with a very beautiful message for us. So and Markus Natten, you can say that he was best known for most of his novels, but he has written this poem Childhood when he was only 12 years old. So you can guess, children, what type of imagination the Markus had at that time when he was composing this poem, that is the Childhood, when he was only 12 years old. So let's start the summary of the poem, that is the Childhood, composed by Markus Natten. Now children, you know that ki childhood is the poem. You all already know ki what is the meaning of childhood, जिसको हम बचपन कहते हैं. And that childhood, जिसे हम हिंदी में बचपन कहते हैं, is full of innocence, is full of beautiful moments of enjoying each and every moment of life. The child is, you can say that the child is free from all the guilts. The child is free from all the evils. The child is free from all the hypocritic thought. The child is free from all the egoism, the concept of egoism. And that stage is full of one thing, that is the innocence. So here the childhood is composed by Markus Natten, and so in this poem the poet thinks over his lost childhood, and he wonders about the moment where he lost this innocence, where he lost the innocent childhood, and he realized that the world is not what it seemed to be. He recalls when his thoughts changed and realized the hypocrisy of the people around him. And then he finally settled down to the idea that his childhood went to some hidden or forgotten place that could only be found in the face of newborn baby. And he also became conscious that he no longer sees the world as he did in the earlier. And also he can sense the hypocrisy of the people around him. And he recalled many instances, many examples in his life when he could have lost his childhood, when he could lost his stature, when he could lost his innocence, when he could lost his childhood. And he wondered if it was the day he ceased to be 11 and realized that hell and heaven to be only the imaginary places and did not exist in this world or any geography or any map. And then he talks about the possibility when he realized that the adults are not like that what they seem to be. They talk, they preach about love, they gave advices about love, but their action did not say so. And then he ponders over the question, was it the day when he realized that his mind was his own and he could produce his own thought? He can produce his own thoughts. No one could his own, and he is an individual with particular individual personality. So children, in the last phase of the poem, he talks about the whereabouts of the childhood, and he concludes that it had the child had gone to some forgotten and hidden place, and that could only be found in the face of the newborn child. So children, what the poem focuses? Actually, the poem focuses on the theme of loss of innocence. And the Markus Natten, the poet, wonders when and where he lost his innocence, when and where he lost his childhood. He ponders over this question and highlights the loss of his innocence and faith in the quest of growing up. And also from this poem we can find out one reality, that how our childhood becomes a memory, a part of memory, because for poet also the childhood becomes a part of memory. And the Markus wonders at what point in his life did he lose the innocence, did he lose his childhood and became a young adult. become a young adult. Now, children, one thing is fact that the state of adulthood is usually a confusing state for a child, because the child is unable to immediately come to terms with the physical, harmonial and psychological changes in him or her personality. You know that. Now, this is the fact that the state of adulthood is usually a confusing state for the child, because he is unable to accept immediately, or you can say that he is unable to immediately come to terms with the physical, harmonial and psychological changes in her or her personality, in his or her personality. And the child is no longer feels like a child. He is no longer feels like a child, but a child is quite ready to call himself an adult either. So same thing is happened to the poet also. बिल्कुल यही जो सिचुएशन थी, बिल्कुल जो पोएट के साथ भी, यानी यहाँ पोएट के साथ भी वही सिचुएशन थी कि वो he was 11 years old, he became a young adult. Now he is thinking about maturity, he is thinking about adulthood, he is thinking about the world, he is thinking about the hypocrisy of people around him, he is thinking about the state of being adult. And and along with these things, he is recalling his childhood also, and for him his childhood becomes a part of memory, where he lost his innocence. So children, on the whole, we can say that the poet seems puzzled about the loss of his childhood, and he tries to find out an answer of two queries. That is, where did my childhood go, and when did my childhood go? These are the two questions, and he tries to find out the answer of those two questions, the answer of these two questions. So he tries to find out the answer of two queries, that is, where did my childhood go and when did my childhood go? And the first possibility of the time, time departure of his childhood relates to the age when he had completed the age of 11, and it was then he had developed a power of understanding. And he realizes that hell and heaven are the part of only imaginary things, that hell and heaven did not exist in this world. Hell and heaven are the concept of imagination, only the concept of imagination, and hell and heaven to be imaginary places. They did not exist in anywhere or in any map or in any geography. In the geography or any map. So at that age of 11, when he completed the age of 11, he developed a stage of understanding, and then he came to realize that heaven and hell are to be the part of imaginary places, are only the part of imaginary places. They did not exist in anywhere in this world. And then the poet relates to this time when he realized the hypocrisy of the people around him, and he thought, and he realized that he believed that the adults, the adults are only they talked about, they preached about, they gave advices about love, but their action did not say so. And their action did not, but they did not act so. So the poet realizes, And then afterward, after this, the poet found that he was the master of his mind. After this realization of understanding, he found himself that he was the master of his mind. He could produce his own thoughts. He came to realize this fact, that he could create a sense of understanding, that he could create a sense of his own thoughts. And a sense of individuality dawned on him. He came to realize that he had an individual personality. He is an individual. He is an individual with his own individual personality. So the poet found, after this, the poet found that he was the master of his own mind, and he could create his own thoughts, and sense of individuality dawned on him, and he could produce his own thoughts because he's an individual with this particular personality. After this, he came to realize this fact about him. And then after, in the last, he dwells on this question, he dwells on the problem, the main problem of his thought. He dwells on the problem where his childhood has disappeared, where his childhood has gone. He ponders over this question, and he ponders over this question about his lost childhood, about his lost innocence, and then he came to realize that his childhood went to some hidden or forgotten place that could only be found in newborn baby's face, in the face of newborn baby. The innocence of childhood, the innocence of childhood, the beautiful experience of childhood, the beautiful experience of innocence of childhood could only be found in the face of newborn baby, because that baby, you can say that baby is an epitome of innocent childhood. So this is the summary of the poem Childhood, and this is the theme. You can say that I have also told about the theme of the poem also, what the theme focuses, on which the theme focuses, and what is the theme of the poem. So this is the summary of the poem Childhood, composed by Markus Natten. So children, after the discussion of the summary, we will discuss about the explanation of the poem, and we will finish the poem, and then after the discussion of the summary, we will discuss, I will explain the paragraphs one by one with their explanation, as usual I am doing. So children, in this lecture we will start the explanation of the paragraphs of the poem, that is the Childhood, composed by Markus Natten. And as usual I am doing in earlier poems also, that first I will read the paragraph, and then I will explain the paragraphs one by one. So in today's lecture we have discussed about the summary, we have discussed about the theme, we have discussed about the message of the poem, that is composed by Markus Natten, and then in this lecture we have completed the summary section, and then we will stop here, and now today we will stop here, and then in next lecture we will start the explanation of the paragraphs of the poem, that is the Childhood, and first I will read the paragraph, and then I will explain the paragraph one by one. So we will stop here today children, and again I am saying that please watch the video, and please study at home and prepare your notes also. So take care of yourself and your family and be healthy and safe at